Here are my college football playoff quarterfinal reactions. I think this game was this week was filled with a lot of sadness, a lot of fun, a lot of surprises, a lot of upsets. But let me know what y'all think about it. Let me know how you, watched all these games and your thoughts on them. But, leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow on TikTok if you're watching on TikTok. But regardless, let's go into it. Let's start talking about how all these games went this weekend. Looking at Texas versus Arizona State, you have a game that, you have the quote unquote, the leaders of the SEC when it comes to defense. And then you have, a team out west who has been underrated, underappreciated, but dominant all season long. You look at Arizona State, I saw a team who did not give up, who fought hard for their coach, for their staff, for everybody involved. And I saw a team that probably should have won this game. Yes, it was a targeting, and yes, it should have been called. When you look at Texas, though, I don't blame them almost losing this game on Quinn Ewers. And, there's a lot of Texas fans who are like, oh, you should start Archie right now, or Arch right now, and pick Quinn Ewers out. I think that's the stupidest thing ever. This has not been Quinn Ewers' fault. The mismanagement of football games have came down to one person, and that's Steve Sarkisian. He needs to be better, and I think they will get wiped away because Ohio State will not leave the door open for him. But when I look at Steve Sarkisian, every single time in the SEC championship game, in this game right here, he allows teams to creep back into it. He allows teams to get close and make them uncomfortable. And it's like he needs to learn how to put his foot on the gas and keep going. And to me, like that's the biggest issue right now with Texas going into that game against Ohio State. But listen, man, all respect, mad respect to Arizona State. I think what makes this playoff format so much fun is that we get to see a smaller team like Arizona State, compete on the national level, national scale, and this helps that school so much. It helps for NIL, it helps for ticket sales, it helps for recruiting. Like there's Arizona State is building a culture there that's going to be very good for a very long time, and people need to look out for it. And so, mad respect to Arizona State, but Texas needs to tighten up if they want to beat Ohio State next week. Looking at Ohio State versus Oregon, Ohio State came into this game with a plan to dominate from the start of the game to the end of the game. Dominate, and that's what they did. I mean, you look at Oregon looked like they came in shell-shocked. They got punched in the mouth, and it was over quickly. You got to look at one player. Jeremiah Smith is an absolute dog, and he could probably be a first-round, top 5 pick, top 3 pick, top 2 pick today if he went to the NFL draft. What an absolutely outstanding performance from him and Will Howard. I mean, granted, Oregon didn't put much pressure on Will Howard, but Will Howard and that Ohio State offense has been so complete this playoff run because of their drive, because of their poise, and they're being consistent. This is the way they played against Indiana. This is the way they played against Penn State, which is to dominate, and they are now dominating. And I don't think there's any team right now, almost any team right now, who can catch this team of Ohio State. But Oregon, man, they just got shell shocked. They didn't have it. Wrong day for them to play. And honestly, like when you look at it, it just sucks because this Oregon team has been really good. It has been a lot better than what that was. They came out of halftime. They were drastically better than they were in the first half, but they just still couldn't get it done. But man, Oregon, punch in the mouth. Ohio State had a plan. They stuck by it. And, maybe the first round bye isn't an upper hand anyway. When you look at Penn State versus Boise State, Penn State dominated. They had a plan, stacked the box, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the box. Make sure that Ashton Jeanty does not get that run that we all seen him had so many times this offseason or during the season. And they pretty much neutralized him. I think he had 30 rush attempts for 100 yards, which was, that's not good enough, or to his standard in any way. And they had a game plan and they stuck by it. Their offense just took the top off their defense all game long. And it was amazing to watch. It was amazing to see, a team because I've been underappreciating them as well, have underrated Penn State all season long. And they came out and now they're going to the semifinals. So, they've had the easiest path. SMU, not that great. Boise State, call it what it is. But they've had a pretty cakewalk, and now they're gonna have to play against a very, very good Notre Dame team. But I want to say one thing: Boise State should be proud of themselves. They should be proud of the organization. They should be proud of everything that they have accomplished because that's amazing. I mean, this will help them so much when it comes to recruiting, to NIL, to all this stuff like that. And I think they just approved a $500 million expansion of their athletics. So that's amazing for this program, amazing for that school, that area, that environment, all that stuff. So big ups Boise State for getting it to that far. They had a hell of a season, and they deserve nothing less than the respect that they get. Next up, Notre Dame versus Georgia. First off, prayers off to everybody that was affected in New Orleans in that tragedy, man. You hate to see it, especially, you hate to see a sport overshadow such a traumatic moment. But prayers out to all the families that were affected by that. But let's talk about this game. I had Notre Dame to upset Georgia from the off, and it happened obviously, so that makes me happy. But regardless, Georgia came into this game with a whole lot of noise, or with a whole lot of off the field stuff. This has been the least dominant Georgia team that we've seen in the past 4 years. Gunnar Stockton will be a good quarterback, but right now he's not great. Like, he's not great. I don't blame this game on him though. I think you take out Carson Beck for Gunnar Stockton, it's like going from one mediocre quarterback to another mediocre quarterback, and it is what it is. But you look at the teams like Notre Dame, like they had a plan, was to be defensive heavy, win the turnover battle, control the game. And they did. They genuinely controlled the game. And they didn't even have Jeremiah Love in the second half to do so. I mean, he went down, I think, halfway through the third quarter, and they still effectively had a plan. I mean, when I look at, Marcus Freeman, he is the best coach in college football right now. What he did to save some time on the clock, which I ridiculed. I was like, why are you still keeping time on the clock going into halftime? Like, you need to just let that 10-second runoff go off, blah blah blah. They went and got a strip sack, take it back for a touchdown to get 7, and then to come out of halftime and run or kick return back is pretty incredible. That game was cinema. That game was the game of the week, in my opinion. And we got some fun games coming up next week as well, and leading into the college football championship. Let me know what y'all think about how this week went. It's been a fantastic week for college football. But yeah, let me know what y'all think.